Well, let's get right into it with our special guest, because joining us now to talk about the tournament that will be coming up this summer is CONCACAF Gold Cup. It is Mr. Sacha Kljestan. How you doing?
I'm very good. Excited to talk soccer with you.
Well, let's do it, because you know it's the rivalry that also keeps on giving, right? Canada, USA, but we'll get into the tournament as a whole. And this is something that you were able to play in too. You played in the Gold Cup. Now you do some great stuff, soccer analysis with Apple TV as part of the MLS broadcast team. So I want to go, when the Gold Cup now is approaching just around the corner, they've already named a lot of the players that will be on the team. And I know that in the US, there was a little bit of an uproar because some big names are not going to be competing. One in particular is a Christian Pulisic. What's your first reaction to maybe the squad? And then we'll get into him.
Well, I'm excited for the U.S. squad because this gives a big opportunity to a lot of younger players, players who haven't even made their debut with the national team that have been having very good seasons in MLS specifically, to showcase themselves. And often we see, with the World Cup 1 year away, we see World Cup rosters where there's always a curveball. There's always somebody who's young who has burst onto the scene that finds their way into the national team and is then starting in a World Cup game. So I think back to 2014, DeAndre Yedlin was a young guy, Julian Green, another, who were shocks, I think, to make the team and then made the difference on the field as well. So I think we have a few of those guys in U.S. camp this summer that 1 year away from the World Cup have a chance to kind of sneak into that roster and actually be difference makers. Christian Pulisic is the big one. Listen, I am not bothered by him not playing in the Gold Cup. I'm not bothered about it one bit because he's our most important player. He's our best player, our most consistent player, and he cares about the national team. I know that from playing with him, from covering him, but he needs a break. And I know that next summer when he steps on the pitch for the World Cup, he will be our best player, he will be our leader, he will be the guy. So I'm not worried about him not being at the World Cup this summer.
How have you seen him progress? You just mentioned, I mean, this is somebody who overlapped with your career when you were, towards the end, and he was just breaking through. And now you see even what he's able to do over in Serie A, obviously with the national team and really becoming the face. What do you make of how he's progressed into this leadership role?
I would say, so my last probably 4 or 5 games with the national team were his first few, and I could tell that he was an unbelievable talent. He was probably the easiest player to play with, which is a massive compliment. But I never thought that he could take it this far as he has in his career. I mean, honestly, he's won a Champions League. He's played for 3 of the biggest clubs in Europe. He's been one of Serie A's best and most consistent players for the past 2 years. So we have to give him a round of applause for the way he's handled things. And then with the U.S. national team, at the last World Cup, he was the leader. Now he's entering the prime of his career, where 2026 absolutely has to be his World Cup for the U.S. men's national team.
I'm curious to know what camp you're part of. The one where people say you need to be playing in this tournament because you don't have all these World Cup qualifiers to get you ready, or are you in the camp where it's like the Gold Cup every 2 years, maybe that needs to change, and guys do need a break? Where are you at?
I'm more in the second camp, that the Gold Cup happens every 2 years, so it loses its importance a little bit as far as being a continental championship when we think about the Copa America or the Euros. So it loses its importance. But This edition of the Gold Cup is important, especially for the coaches, right? Because they don't have those competitive games that are real internationals as far as World Cup qualifying. So I understand the coaches are probably a little upset that they don't get their best players in camp. But when we're talking about players like Christian Pulisic or Jonathan David for Canada, Jonathan David is such a talent. He's been such a good player. He's going to be a starter at the World Cup, right? When he's around, you're putting him in your team. Jesse Marsch knows that. So for him to get settled onto finding out where his next team is, finding that contract right now as he leaves Lille, that's very important, I think, for the next year of his career, which will lead into the World Cup. So this summer is very important, but maybe more important for the other guys I mentioned that are getting a chance now because somebody like Jonathan David isn't there. Does Taniolo Washe sneak his way in? Does he become a guy that says, okay, you can count on me if, Kyle Larin and Jonathan David aren't there? Can I be that third striker, prove himself this summer?
Well, you can tell you've been doing this TV thing for a while now, because it's a great segue into talking about Canada's head coach in Jesse Marsch. In fact, that last game, though, against the Americans in Nation League final picked up a red, so he won't be on the bench for the first 2 games at Gold Cup. But either way, Canadian players seem to love him. The fans really adore him. What have you made of just how quick he's been able to shift the culture within this national team that really did seem to be reeling? Sasha, I know you were probably keeping an eye on stuff, just everything going on with their federation and, heading into the World Cup, but he's really seemed to have now turned the focus on the pitch.
Listen, Jesse was probably the perfect hire at the perfect time for Canada soccer. I know him personally. I saw what he did with our team at the New York Red Bulls, literally like that, turning us into an instant contender by building a culture. But also, he's very well spoken. He can face the media and face the public and say the right thing. He also believes in the right things and how to bring people together. He's just a natural leader of men and of people. And so I think he's done a very good job of getting Canada soccer and the players to believe. And I think that's the most important thing, because when you look at, I think, Canadian culture and Canadians, I think you guys sometimes see yourselves as underdogs and a small country. And when you look at your players and the clubs that they're playing at right now, yes, I've even seen the way the players start talking now when they're talking publicly. No, that they are a contender, right? They should be, we are the alphas in North America now, because you have players playing at some of the biggest clubs in the world, and now the players step on the pitch and act like that. And that confidence has gone throughout the whole group. It's very fun to watch. Watching them at the Copa America go toe-to-toe with Argentina and some of the biggest clubs and biggest countries in South America was awesome to see. I think Jesse has done a really good job of just instilling belief that Canada is a good team, and it shows on the pitch. It's been really fun to see.
So how big would a Gold Cup win this summer be for Canada?
I think it would be massive. I think to lift a continental trophy, no matter where you are in the world, is a massive achievement. And so Canada's definitely got to be one of the favorites for this tournament. They've got to have the pressure on themselves to say, we want to win the cup, right? Not just we want to be a part of the conversation. And I think Jesse will have them believing that it's trophy or bust, and not in a bad way, not a bust if you lose a final or if you make it far, but, make the country believe, make everybody excited again, and kind of just build that momentum towards 2026.
All right, last one. Who wins more trophies in the next 5 years? Is it going to be Canada or the United States?
I mean, come on. You're asking a former U.S. men's national team. The United States are going to win more trophies. Come on.
All right, I'll say Canada, and then we'll meet up again in 5 years and see where we're at. Sasha, this has been an absolute blast. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you very much.